What's going on, everybody? Hey, it's your SA Bobby J coming to you live and in living color, all the way from, yeah, you guessed it, Cleveland, Ohio. Hey, want to welcome you all to our SA weekly meeting as we get into Let's Talk About It. Again, I want to thank you for taking the time, for spending some time with me on this evening as we continue to move and press forward through our lifestyle journey change together. And so, if you've been with us from week one, I want to say thank you. If this is your first time jumping in with us, hey, we'll welcome you as well. For first week, you know what we got into. We talked about let's pig out. We talked about pursuing intentional growth. And so I won't do a full recap. So if you didn't catch it or you missed it, I would encourage you to go back, take a look at the videos. It's the title properly. Last week we got into body check. Yeah, we talked about not necessarily uh, being harsh judges upon ourselves, but gaining the clarity that we need, that we might examine ourselves to do that which is right, necessary to get the change, get the results we're looking for. So, again, not to do a full recap on both of those, but encourage you to go back and take a look and take a listen to move forward. And that gets us into week number three. Yeah, you guessed it. We're in week number three. We're a third way through the process, on our way to halfway through. And so this week, as you saw in the title, we're going to get into, yeah, you guessed it. Let's fuel up. Let's fuel up. And what are we talking about when we're talking about let's fuel up? Here, you know me, I got to get to a share screen. There we go. So when we talk about let's fuel up, the point we want to make in is that fueling our lives in a way that supports our purpose and our goal. And that's what we want to get into. Again, fueling our lives in a way that supports our purpose and our goals. And that can be both physical, spiritual, emotional, mental. It can cross so many paths. Um, when we get into this thing. And so let's define fuel up. So fuel is what gives us energy, right? It's what gives us capacity. It's what gives us endurance. Fuel is what makes the engine go, right? And so when we talk about cars, we understand that cars need gas, planes need fuel. Matter of fact, your stove, in order to cook, needs gas. That's fuel. In order to turn on your lights to your house, you need electricity. That's a form of fuel. And so we know all of these things need fuel to go, and your body needs what? Fuel as well too, and your body needs good intentional fuel. But fuel, like I said, is actually two aspects. You got the physical aspect of fuel. We've talked about that in terms of what we eat, what we drink, how we rest. Those are factors that determine how we physically treat our bodies, that what comes out of that from a physical nature as far as fuel. But there's also a second aspect of fuel, and that's the spiritual aspect. Yeah, like I said, it's always going to be like a little Bible study, but not too many verses on tonight. So we're getting into, when we talk about the spiritual aspect of fuel, uh, is what inspires us, what motivates us, right? What gives us that that gump, that push. We get into what encourages us, and not only that, but we also begin to talk about what discourages us, right? So you can have good energy, a good fuel, I should say, that gives you energy to do good things. But then you can also have some bad fuel on the spiritual side. Get to those things that drain you, those things that that suck energy from you. But then you also need to know what replenishes you, and what gives you the push that you need to move forward. And so the key question that you got to ask yourself for today, when we get into this week lesson number 3 in terms of let's fuel up, is, here's the question. Let's pause, slow down, and ask yourself this: am I fueling my body in a way that supports my desired lifestyle change? I'll ask it again. Am I fueling my body in a way that supports my desired lifestyle change? Right? You have a vision in mind in terms of where you see yourself, where you want to be, where you want to go, the number of pounds you want to lose, the medicines that you want to come off, the lifestyle things that you want to be able to get into. And so now you have to ask yourself, am I taking into my person, my body, that which is necessary to see the end game that I'm hoping to get, right? So that gets into, as we talked about, what you're eating, what you're drinking, gets into your rest, how you're treating your physical man. And the same way it gets into the spiritual too. Are you surrounded with the right group of people that's motivating you, that's encouraging you? You know, are you in the right state of mind, you know, the right headspace, the right environment that's conducive for you to achieve and attain your goals? So all of that is fuel, right? You know, there's a verse of scripture um, that I'm gonna get into. Don't have it for us on the screen. It's 1 Corinthians 10:31. It says, "Whether you eat or drink, whatever you do, do it for the glory of God." And so that scripture just reminds us and encourages us that, hey, no matter what we do, we can bring glory to God. And that involves in terms of what we take into our physical persons with eating and drinking, right? So you can glorify God uh, in all that you do. It's not just going to church, but it's how you eat, it's how you live, you know, and those are the things that we get into when we talk about let's fuel up. All right, and so on this last week, Dr. Joe got into masterclass number 2, not last week, but week before. And so we talked about plant-based living in 80/20, you know, and Dr. Joe highlighted how the food industry is designed to keep your health out of balance, right? It's not designed for you to be your best, but it's designed to actually keep you at your worst. And so when we talk about fuel, you know, again, as I talked about with the spiritual side of having bad fuel, you got bad fuel on the physical side as well too. You know, processed foods, right? You know, eating stuff that's full of sugar. All of those things are bad for you. So we have to have an understanding of the fuel to which we're taking in. I ask you this as a sidebar. Have you ever put what we would call bad gas in your car? I know it sounds strange. What do you mean bad gas? Sometimes you can go to one of them gas stations that's the price is real good that you just can't believe it. And you can call it spade a spade. It's cheap gas or it's bad gas. It's got too much additives in it. And now your car is not driving as smooth as you want it to be. It's the same way with your bodies, right? Same way with your mind state. You have to be able to fuel yourself in such a way. I said mind state, mindset, excuse me, y'all. You got to be able to fuel these things, your body and your mind, the right way to optimize to get the best results to what you're looking for. And so, as we've done the past couple of weeks, you know, I'm always into acronyms. We'll get over into a couple of acronyms to help us have a better understanding when we're talking about let's fuel up. And so that first one is F. And F is what? Faith driven choices. See, keep in mind that fueling your body begins with faith. Well, why faith? Well, faith is the substance of things hoped for. So remember, I said you're thinking in terms of your end game, where you want to go, where you want to be. And so you need faith because it's the substance of things hoped for, right? It's you know, you enter this process really as an act of faith. That I'm gonna come here and I'm going to shed some pounds. I'm gonna come here. I'm going to get off meds. I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna improve my health. Now, all of that is an act of faith, and so you have to have faith-driven choices when you're talking about fueling your body. And keep in mind, faith provides vision and direction, right? Faith provides vision and direction. We begin begin with the end in mind. That's like an old Franklin Covey concept, right? Begin with the end in mind. So you have to have the end vision, and when you have that end vision, faith helps to fuel that for you to push through. So faith is going to drive you. It's going to drive your relationship with food. It's going to drive your relationship with yourself, whether you're in a good state of mind or not. It's going to drive you with your relationship with others. It's going to drive you with your relationship with your Heavenly Father, with God Himself. So faith helps us to steward over the choices that we make. So when we talk about our food choices, all of those other good things, faith is what stewards over that, because you have a vision. You see yourself, right? The substance of things hoped for. And because you have that in mind, then you're going to let faith fuel you and help you with your choices. That gets us to our next one, which is you. Understanding our bodies, right? And when I say understand your bodies, I want you to understand the whole you, right? So when we talk to your bodies, I'm talking about your whole you, not just your physical body, but your mind as well as your soul. You have to have an understanding uh, of what's happening on the inside, what's happening with you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. You have to have an understanding, and you have to be intentional about it. So that kind of gets us to where we were talking about on last week with the body check, right? Body check was you being able to analyze, how the process is going for you, making the choices that you need to make. It's understanding of what it is that's going on. And so that fuel becomes intentional. And keep in mind that some food's going to energize us, right? Some foods are going to drain us. Some people are going to energize us. Some people are going to drain you. Some places are going to energize you, and some places are going to drain you. And you have to have that understanding of where you are, who you are, relative toward the choices that you make, and what fuel that you're putting in your system. So again, we talked about the body check. Go back and watch that video, listen on that. And so we have to have that understanding of what's working, what's not working. I'd encourage you to journal through this process. You'll have some other other supervisors talking about journaling. Journaling is very, very important because we need to be accountable to the choices and the decisions that we make. All right, continue share screening. And so that gets us to our E, which is energy for purpose. Energy for purpose. So energy is not just about feeling good, but energy is the power to push you to excel, right? Have you ever seen people that's just high strung, high energy type people? Right. So it's not only just the energy that you eat that it gives you that, but it's that spiritual part that gives you energy too. And so energy allows you to serve and sacrifice. Energy does that. It allows you to serve and allows you to sacrifice. When you have the right kind of energy, it'll push you away from the table that says, you know what, I'm not going to eat these donuts. It'll push you away that says, you know what, I'm not going to order this frappuccino, this cappuccino. That energy is it's gonna give you that what you need to even help stop smoking, stop drinking, whatever your hang up or your issue is. If you have the right kind of energy, it will help you be able to make the right types of sacrifices. It's going to help you with your focus. Energy helps you to focus better. It helps you to show up consistently. You know, it's that energy. It's basketball season, and I love watching basketball. You see the ball sometimes can have that energy. I'm about to date this, and we try not to always date our material, but just the other day, guy scored 83 points in the game, Bam Adebayo, and so when you think about what he did. He had energy that was going in the game, and they just kept feeding him. And so that energy will motivate you to push forward, right? The same way we talked about Wilt getting his 100, Kobe getting his 81. Now you got Bam getting his 83, and they all had a form of energy that was taking place. And the same way we're trying to get you to get your 100-pound weight loss or your 50-pound weight loss, or coming off your meds, or seeing yourself doing better things and having more energy just in life, where you can walk a flight of stairs and not be winded. You're going to need that energy. That energy is going to push you towards your purpose. And guess what? And purpose drives you too. So look at it this way. Purpose drives you, but energy will sustain you. So I say that slowly. Purpose drives you, but energy sustains you. And so that gets us to our last one when we talk about this acronym about fuel. You got faith driving. We talked about you understanding. We talked about E in terms of having that energy. And now we're getting to L, which is the long game, longevity. So you have to understand in this, you got to have fuel to endure, right? You ever taken a road trip? You're going to have to put gas in your tank more than once, right? this is a long game. You know, most times we come into this process, we think 40 days. Most people think, I got to get it done in 40 days. I got to get it done in 40 days. Chances are you are not going to get it done in 40 days unless you were pretty much already there and you needed this process to get you over the hump. This, again, to be redundant and repetitive, is just an introduction to the process of what needs to happen in your life to make the necessary changes. You need more than 40 days. Some of you gonna need more than 60. Some of you gonna need more than 6 months. Some of you gonna need more than a year. I've been in this process for 4 years, right? And that's just trying to sustain and maintain that which I was able to achieve within that first year. And so it is truly a lifestyle change. And you're going to need fuel. You're going to need energy. You're going to need all that what you need to get there. And so you're going to need good, wise fuel to support the longevity in your health, in that which you want to do, both spiritually and physically. And so with that, we'll stop sharing, have a little conversation, get ready to bring this thing on to a close, because the key to the game is results. The key to the game is results. Results, results, results. And that's the best fuel that you're going to have in this process. Every week you get on the scale, the results is going to fuel you. The results are going to give you that what you need to keep pressing through, to keep pressing forward. And my job and my goal is to push you and to encourage you to get some results. You're going to determine what the results are, but I just want to push you to get the results. So with that, you know, is this whole concept of being able to maintain and sustain results. There's a couple of things I just want to run by you to encourage you in that process. And the first one is that you have to be able to shift from a goal perspective to a lifestyle perspective. You want to shift from a goal perspective to a lifestyle perspective. You want to be able to make this thing a habit, right? Not just a momentary change, not just something you did for a little bit, but you want to be able to integrate these behaviors, these changes, these adjustments into your lifestyle where it happens on a daily routine basis. You got to think long term, not just short term, but long term. And so get rid of this concept of goal and look at it as truly as a lifestyle. And so talk about this lifestyle. Like I said, I've been at this thing for 4 years. I still weigh my food. I still count my calories. You can ask the missus. She will tell you. And when I meal prep, I pull out the scale, put it on, make sure I'm weighing it. Now, do I count calories like I used to? No, because I pretty much eat the same thing every day. I know what 4 ounces of this, I know what so many grams of this is going to give me. Why? Because I'm being consistent with it on a daily, right? Because I'm finding out what works for me, and what works for me works for me. You got to find out what works for you. And so think lifestyle, even down to drinking your water, right? It has to become lifestyle. You know, not something that you drudge doing, but something that you understand that, hey, this is just who I am. And like I said, it's going to take some of y'all more than 40 days to do it. So it's all about a lifestyle. But to encourage in that lifestyle, and that, not to sound like a contradiction. So versus being goal perspective and being lifestyle perspective, now the second thing I want to tell you to do is to keep smaller benchmark goals. Wait, I thought you said get rid of goals. No, you want to have a lifestyle perspective, but you give yourself smaller benchmark goals. Well, why smaller benchmark goals? Gives you more reasons to celebrate along the way. So if you give yourself a smaller goal, such as, you know what, this week I'm going to lose 10 pounds. Your overall lifestyle change is to probably lose 100 plus pounds, 50 plus pounds. But give yourself a smaller benchmark goal, such as, hey, today I'm going to make sure I drink all my water. You drink all your water, guess what? You can celebrate. That's giving you energy, right? That's going to motivate you because you'll say, hey, I did it. So when you keep these smaller ongoing goals, they motivate you on a daily basis. They motivate you on a weekly basis. They motivate you on a monthly basis. So you set the smaller benchmark goals along the way, and they help to fuel the larger lifestyle to which you're trying to obtain. And so that gets us to the third one in terms of this fuel up and sustaining and maintaining this concept of results is monitor your progress. Yes, you must monitor your progress. I talked about journaling before. So you have your apps, you have your calendars, whatever it is you need to do to set the benchmark so you can see it along the way, you got to do it. To this day, and yes, I'm my own guinea pig. I talked about this being a science project. I know what works for Bobby Johnson. I want to encourage you to find out what works for you. But to this day, I still take food pics. Yes, I do. To this day, I get on the scale every day. And guess what? I take a picture. That's my way of journaling. I photo journal my process. And do I take pictures of my food every day? No, but every time I go through meal prep, boom, I take pictures for meal prep for the week. Uh, every so often I come back through, especially if I change up what I have, if I alter it a little bit, I want to take a picture of it while I'm trying to capture that moment so I can remember, okay, this is what I was eating, this is what I was having, this worked good, this didn't work good. So I can always come back to it. And me taking it via pics, guess what? Always getting reminders. Hey, a year ago you did this. A month ago you did this. Google's always sending me reminders. Hey, remember these pictures you took? And it's a constant flux of, hey, this is what I need to do to sustain this lifestyle. So monitor your progress. You know, there are things you can do. Um, the next thing, or the fourth thing I would tell you to do is to stay mindful of your end game, right? Remember, it's a lifestyle change, but you always want to keep your end game at the front of your mind, right? We said begin with the end in mind. So always keep in mind, you know what? I said never again. Let your never again be never again. You know, for me, and this is just personal, not trying to shame anybody, not trying to talk about anybody, but I've had friends and family members that have come through the process and I've seen their never again photos and I heard them say how encouraged they were and how they were never going to go back, only to look at them now and be like, yep, they didn't let their never again be never again. But I want to encourage you to let your never again truly be a never again. Keep your end game in front of you so you never go back. And so all of this fuel that you need is to help you get to your destination. The same way when you start that trip. First thing you do before you get on the road, what do? Put gas in your car because why? You're going to need to get it to get started. Same way within this process, you got to get the right fuel in your system and push yourself along the way. And when you find yourself getting low, engine light comes on, hey, you need some gas. Same way with this process. Things get low, plateau out, find yourself not getting the results, not getting, then you plug in the fuel that you need in order for you to start getting results so you can continue to get on down the road. And so one of the things that's going to help you with that, yeah, number 5, is to keep your support system. You need the right support system around you. You need people that's going to encourage you, people that's going to inspire you, people that's going to cheer you on. And guess what? Your family members may not be those people. Co-workers might not be those people. You might have to flip and flop in terms of who's giving you that what you need to motivate you. Sometimes we look for encouragement in the wrong places. And I will tell you, you following your favorite movie star, actor, singer, they may motivate you to a degree, you know, but they got the issues too. You want to find somebody that's really motivating you and encouraging you in your camp. So you have your group, you've got your champion, you got your buddy. Those are the people you want to stay in contact with. People of a like mind, people who have the same goals, same vision for themselves. So you don't go back to the crowd, that you stay inspired to continue to press on and do that which is necessary. And if you hit a roadblock along the way, I talked about if you start running low on gas, hey, make the adjustments that's necessary. Hey, go back to the gas station, go back to and put some more gas in the tank, you know, so you start. Now it's too early to talk about plateaus, but people generally want to get through this process. You know, your first week you have your best results. Second week, you know, results shift a little bit, and then people begin to fade off, thinking, "Oh, something ain't happening right, I ain't doing it right." Hey, make adjustments. Make adjustments. You have to make adjustments in this game, right? And so another way to keep making those adjustments is to keep feeding your mind. Dr. Joy is pouring out a whole lot into us. And with you guys being reset means that you've already got that 40-day information. He's changing some things up as he goes through reset. Listen to the masterclass. Listen to whatever lives that come through. Listen to the weeklies that your supervisors are putting out there. You want to constantly feed your mind information. I would encourage you even to go on the internet, go to YouTube, listen to some podcasts, buy some books. Yes, books. If you don't want to read a paper book, then buy a digital book. Find some communities to which you can join beyond the 40-day turn up. There might be some other people of a like mind that's trying to obtain and achieve some results. You need to find some places that's going to constantly keep fueling you. And new information on a regular basis is good fuel. What did they say when we was growing up? About to date myself, they said a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And so you need to constantly feed your mind to give you the fuel that you need. And every time you learn something, that's fuel to encourage you, to inspire you in this process. All right, so fueling your body is not about perfection. It's not. And so again, I don't want to put this in a spot where I encourage people to compete, but not to compare. Because what somebody else put in their system, what somebody else put in for them to achieve results, you may not have done. So when you compare yourself, you might see somebody, who's getting great results, and you're trying to figure out, well, why aren't you getting results? Well, don't compare. But you can compete, right? Which means that you want to do your best. You want to achieve what you want to achieve, to put your all in. And so when we talk about feeling our bodies, we're not talking about perfection, but we are talking about being intentional, talking about being intentional to get results, to get the things that's necessary for you to make the lifestyle change so you can see yourself to the other side. And so with that said, I'm going to try to slow it down, put out a couple of questions, things that I want you to kind of ask yourself this week. Ask yourself this week. You can pause and reflect on this video and ask yourself this: what fuels my purpose? Ask yourself, what fuels my purpose? Then after you ask yourself what fuels your purpose, then ask yourself this: what fuels my energy right now? What's fueling you right now? What's the energy that's fueling you right now? Then the other thing that you need to ask yourself, and you got to be honest with, is what drains you? What drains you? What pulls from you? What zaps you? What doesn't motivate you? You need to be able to identify these markers. These are all going to be things that you need to help you get to the results that you're looking for. It's not about guilt. It's just about awareness. And so that's going to lead us to your challenge. You got these questions you're going to ask yourself. And then this week, the challenge is simply to find that one fueling habit and make it your focus. So last week with body check, you had to find that weak thing. And that was the thing that you had to focus on to try to improve it. This week, I want you to identify that one thing that you do well, and let that be the thing to motivate you. Your best habit, let it be your best motivator this week. So if drinking water is something that you do well, then let that be your motivation for this week. If getting your meals and you're getting your 80-20 just right and your champion is always shouting you out, let that be the one thing to motivate you this week. If it's your meal prep or you got on the scale and you're seeing results and you're the biggest loser in your group and everybody trying to figure out how you losing so much weight, then let that be the one thing that motivates you. But I encourage you to find that one thing to fuel you. Again, results fuel you. So find that one thing that encourages you, that motivates you, that pushes you, that causes you to excel, and let that be the thing to fuel you up this week, to motivate you, to inspire you, to keep on going, to keep on pressing through. All right, so now remember this. Growth happens through consistency, not extremes. Growth happens through consistency, not extreme. I encourage you all to be consistent in what you do every day and every week. All right, so this has been your SA Bobby J. I thank you for spending some time with me. My prayer is that you be able to glorify God in the choices that you make, the lifestyle changes that you seek, that you find the fuel that's necessary to not only help your body, but to help your spirit, to help your mind. That you gain the wisdom and the grace that you might live an intentional life to be all that the Lord has called you to be in this time and in this season. So again, I thank you for spending this time with me as we talked about fuel up. Next week, if the Lord say the same, we're going to talk about perseverance. I'm not going to give you the title just yet, but we're going to talk about perseverance because again, we talked about the long game. We're going to have some hiccups and some hangups along the way. And so we're going to need to be able to talk about perseverance. So, hey, if you like what you hear, there's some other videos that you can tune into. I encourage you to go through the playlist, the SA Weekly with B. Johnson. Hey, it's been my privilege and my pleasure. Love you. Have a blessed one.